They say, do not judge a book by its cover. Who would have thought that this friendly grey-haired old granny with the big glasses was actually a ruthless serial killer, and that she buried her victims in the garden? Dorothea Puente was born in 1929 as Dorothea Helen Gray. After a rough childhood, she married her first husband at the age of 16. Her second marriage took place in 1952, and in 1968 she married Roberto José Puente. Although the marriage only lasted 16 months, Dorothea kept her third husband's surname. She became notorious as Dorothea Puente. During the late 1970s, Dorothea ran a boarding house in Sacramento. She established herself as a pillar of support for alcoholics, the homeless, and people with mental illnesses. Besides organizing RR meetings, she also helped her lodges receive pension and disability money. Dorothea even adjusted her appearance for the role by wearing old-fashioned clothes and not coloring her gray hair. In December 1978, she was found guilty on 34 counts of fraud with her lodge's pension checks. Dorothea received a suspended sentence of 5 years and was ordered to pay $4,000 in compensation. These events should have served as a warning to the Sacramento community, but she was still allowed to run the boarding house. In April 1982, Dorothea persuaded Ruth Monroe to come live in the boarding house. 2 weeks later, Ruth died from an overdose of pills. Puente told the police that Ruth was depressed after her husband had recently died and that she no longer wanted to live. The police determined that Monroe had committed suicide. After a visit from Dorothea in May 1982, Dorothy Osborne found that her credit cards, checks, and other items were missing after Puente gave her something to drink. A few weeks later, Malcolm Mackenzie filed a complaint that Dorothea had drugged him and stolen his pension. In July 1982, Dorothea Puente was sentenced to 5 years in prison on 3 counts of theft. While in prison, Puente became pen pals with 77-year-old Everson Gilmuth. After being released in 1985, Dorothea and Everson moved in together and opened a joint bank account. In November 1985, she contracted one Ismael Flores to do woodworking tasks in the house. She even paid Flores a bonus for his work and gave him Gilmuth's truck because Everson supposedly no longer needed it. Later, Dorothea hired Flores again to build a box in which she wanted to store books. However, she and Flores threw the box with books into a river. The police retrieved the box from the river and found a man's body inside, but they could not make any connection between the body and Puente. It was only 3 years later that the victim was identified as Everson Gilmuth. During that time, Dorothea had collected Everson's pension and forged letters to his family to keep them from becoming suspicious. Puente continued to house pensioners and disabled people. She intercepted the checks they received from the state and only paid him allowances. She kept the rest of the money for herself, claiming it was to cover the residents' expenses. The authorities only became skeptical in November 1988 when the disabled Alvaro Montoya disappeared. Montoya's social worker became suspicious when he didn't show up for appointments, and contacted the police. With Puente's consent and an extra shovel provided by Dorothea, the police dug up the boarding house's garden and within 30 minutes found the first body. 7 bodies were eventually exhumed. Dorothea Puente was charged with a total of 9 murders but was only found guilty on 3 counts in 1993. She was sentenced to 3 consecutive life terms and died of natural causes in prison at the age of 82 in 2011. Dorothea Puente never admitted to being guilty. Today, Dorothea's murder house has been opened to visitors by the current owner. Possibly to lighten the macabre atmosphere of the former boarding house, several signs with humorous remarks have been put up. Here are a few examples. It was the awful, awful woman that did it. Don't blame me. The house. Trespassers will be drugged and buried in the yard. Keep out from under the grass. Do not park across the driveway. The ghosts like to get out and terrorize the neighborhood. The house is innocent. There is even a mannequin with a shovel in hand to remind visitors that there were once shallow graves all over the garden. I doubt if I will ever visit the place, it sounds a bit too creepy and morbid for me.